The first thing I want to talk about today is the fact that he looks like he's going to sneeze on me, and I'm all grossed out. It also looks like he's at a Halloween gathering, but those are firefighter emblems on the wall of firefighters, I believe, who have passed. So to all firefighters everywhere, even if I disagree with you politically, thank you for your service. See how easy that is? If you run into a burning building not knowing who you're in there to rescue, I don't give a rat's ass who you vote for. I don't give a rat's ass if you hate my guts or what shirts or lawn signs you have. If you do that part, I give you a wide berth. And speaking of a wide berth, Trump decides not to show up at the official 9/11 memorial things, largely because he didn't think he'd be able to skip out in time to do the boxing match thing. He went to a precinct near his building and then a fire station near his building, which he's done before. He did politically before he ran for office. It was, I don't know if this is a station for sure, but this very well may be the fire station where he attempted to vote and was not registered. So, I'm spinning wool. That's nice, Jackie. See? Artists and crafters. That's the side audience that I'm missing out on. While I discuss politics with you and break down things in a wonky yet humorous fashion, I should probably, make, like paint model soldiers with like magnifying glasses on my eyes like the dude in Ronin. But I would like to, this is a part of his speech. It's an hour and 20 minutes. He just rambled in this fucking place. But the very first time that I've seen since the 2017 speech where Trump was saying, we need to get out, but we got to stay in. He has been saying, I'm the guy to get us out and all that stuff for a very long time. And then he never did. And then set the date, made the arrangement with the Taliban, got 5,000 fighters and the new deputy prime minister, deputy interior minister, or whatever he is, leader out. The third lunatic in charge in this half-assed desert redneck gathering that they call a government in Afghanistan right now. All of a sudden on Dan Ball's show, he says, May 1st was bullshit. That would have been the beginning of a 2-year drawdown, and we would have kept the base. So the illusion that this idiot was ever going to get out of Afghanistan, ever, if he'd have gotten reelected, ever, dies right here. I'd like to show you this little piece right here. And I just grabbed this. I just scrolled through it and, seeing how long this was and landed on the piece where he's talking about this. It may be a little forward. I don't know exactly the spot. You know me, I like to needle drop. We'll see. But yeah, let's see.
I just want to thank you all. I passed this place many times, as you know.
He passes this place many times. It's right near his building.
Times, and I gave you every ounce of my support. We approved in my administration the massive amount of money to take care of people affected by the World Trade Center catastrophe. Family.
It permanently extended it. Jon Stewart is responsible for getting that done.
And everything else, and that was done by me. I saw they were all talking about it today. They were all taking credit, but they had nothing to do with it. That was my deal. We signed it. In fact, a couple of you were there. We signed it on the lawn of the Rose Garden. It was great. It was a great day. But I just want to thank everybody. You're incredible people. You're beautiful people. There's nobody like you, and nobody has your guts. I know all about that building.
Oh, he just farted on him. Damn it. Whenever, just so you know, in case you're not familiar, if Trump tugs his jacket, he just broke wind. You can kind of count on it.
Down there right after, and it was a tragedy. And to think that knowing the one building came down and you still had people going from fire, people going up the other building, I assume just no.
What is that a fucking sentence? Hold on. All seriousness. By the way, put all your feelings about 9/11 and the tragedy of that day and the heroics of the firefighters aside, and understand that I know how much you love dogs, and I know dogs occasionally have ticks, and ticks are a serious thing. But if you see a tick and you're looking at a tick, you're not going, oh, what about all the dogs that are getting adopted? You understand? You can separate the tick from the dog. in this circumstance. This is, listen, hold on. This is goofy. Oh, I'm in one. I need to be on there. List part.
Going from fire, people going up the other building. I assume just knowing.
People going from fire, going up the other building. And believe me, if this was Biden saying this would be Biden's cognitive decline is ever more evident, embarrasses himself in front of the world and firefighters.
Was going to happen. The bravest people, and we want to thank you. You're incredible.
Then do it. We want to thank you. We want to thank you. You know what? You know why we want to thank you? Because we're the kind of people, we're good people. We want to thank people. Unlike the other side who doesn't want to thank people. I want to thank you. I'm not saying thank you. I'm telling you that I'm the kind of guy you should think of wants to thank you. Because it's like, you can't even escape this.
Really, this day is very interesting because they're trying to do speeches without mentioning what happened over the last 2 weeks. And it's a very hard thing to do. And I think
you're managing to do it. They're trying to do speeches. Oh, you mean like you do the American flag? Just rubbing your crank on it? People give speeches. They do. Oh, God.
certain ways they shouldn't be doing that. Because what they did in the last 2 weeks with that surrender, or whatever you call it, was a disgrace. There was no reason. We had them totally locked down. They couldn't have...
Now, listen to this. Here it comes. There was no reason to surrender in Afghanistan. We didn't surrender. We left. If you're talking about the Afghan military and them surrendering or whatever, yeah, they shouldn't have. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about us. If he was saying... If he literally said, this is terrible, we've been backing the Afghan government and all this stuff, and that's why I ran on getting us out in the beginning, but those people scattered, and we shouldn't have helped them, and all that money, and blah, blah, blah. He's not. He's taking this, he's putting this solely on the backs of Joe Biden and our soldiers. But listen to this.
Thing. We could have stayed there for 10 years if we wanted. They couldn't have done a damn thing. We ran. I think he wanted to run because he wanted to look good today. And I wanted that.
What? Think about the logic here. Listen to this shit.
I think he wanted to run because...
Hold on, wait. The 10 years. We could have stayed there for 10 years. That son of a bitch was never getting out of Afghanistan. Never, not ever.
Them totally locked down. They couldn't have done a thing. We could have stayed there for 10 years if we wanted. They couldn't have done a damn thing. We ran. I think he wanted to run because he wanted to look good today. And I wanted that ended more than anybody, and for a longer period of time. We should.
He wanted it over longer than the people like, I don't know, the rest of us that were against going in the first place. What?
Never been there, frankly. We should have never gotten into that quicksand.
We should have never gotten into that quicksand, but we could have stayed in that quicksand for 10 years and they wouldn't have done shit.
Millions of dollars, millions of lives if you look at both sides. But when you get out, you have to get out with honor, dignity, strength, and victory. We would have had victory.
How? What is that even? I don't know what the shit he's talking about. Do you? Does anybody know what he means? Because we weren't at war. It's one thing to declare victory at some point. Thank you, Gambit Mojo. Do I need anything? I need a full night's sleep instead of, chunks of sleep throughout the day and night. But I will get that tonight. Don't you worry. Thank you, though. Thanks so much. Liking and subscribing to the show helps. That's good.
And he turned victory into a total embarrassment. I say the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
And by the way, he has to say that. Trump must say that this indeed is the most embarrassing moment in our country's history because he knows that his loss... I got to move myself over and make myself a little smaller. I made myself big today during the show, and there we go. That's a little better. Now you can see more of me. How are you doing? I've got Tarzan hair. It's what happens when it's wet. Thanks very much, guys. Yeah. Is this... Let's just... let me recap right now. To anyone saying the Biden administration bungled this exit, and that Trump had a plan, would have done it better, that we could have had this, even the shit he's just saying. No, he was never going to leave. He said this a dozen times over the last couple of weeks. As it started to look like shit, this would have been his plan if the May date had come around and it went to hell. He was like, I told the generals we could have left the soldiers there and they talked me into it. He would have gone, they're probably Democrats and they only got me coffee.
And then we gave him $85 billion worth of equipment.
Yeah, there's a reason why you're looking around like a crazy person when you say that, because it's not fucking true. And stop shitting on our soldiers and pretending they didn't do everything they could to demilitarize or destroy or remove every piece of American gear. And then once it was clear that the Afghans were leaving shit behind, they destroyed it.
It's the most that I bought. You know? Now think about it. You know, those Apache helicopters, they're the greatest weapon. Apaches, they have more than any other nation but us now. And the Black Hawk.
Never mind the fact that they all had thermite grenades thrown in the engines. It's funny. They have second only to the United States. Well, that's because the Chinese have their own and the Russian have their own, and these are American Apache helicopters. There's a reason. And we don't tend to sell our good stuff to that many people. The Saudis have some of it. They're third. Do you notice nobody is saying they have more operating Apache helicopters than anyone else? Anymore, they have more Apache helicopters flying. That you don't hear that. They have more remnants of Apache helicopters than we do.
And everything else, it's not even believable.
No, it is not. Everything you're saying is bullshit. Everybody's like, this guy's not buying it. The guy with the blue shirt over there. Everybody's like, just let him finish. This is what he does. He'll finish talking in a moment, and then we'll get a picture.
Kept them at bay because of the air. And now they have what we had for the air. You know, our jets, our helicopters.
They do not have jets. If you look at the planes that the Afghan military had, they're prop planes. They also don't have jet pilots, even if they did.
There's nothing they could do. And any time they did, they had a problem. And when I spoke to Abdul, I said, Abdul, if you kill any American soldier or any American, you keep fighting your civil war. You've been fighting it forever. But you kill any American, you kill any American soldier, we're going to hit you harder than any country has ever been hit. And I said it.
Yeah, and we lost soldiers leading up to that. He didn't do that. They encroached on Afghan forces. Didn't do that. There was no hitting it harder than ever before. And what does that mean? We're going to strafe bomb the civilian areas?
And I said it clear. I said it loud. And he understood that. He said, I understand. He said some other things too, by the way. He said they're tough. He said, I understand. And from that day on, we didn't have one soldier killed. And we could have taken 2-3 years to get out, or we could have been out in 1 month. Nobody would have been killed, and we would have had 100% of our equipment.
So listen to that bullshit. We could have taken 2 years to get out. No, you didn't. You made a 1-year agreement. That's the longest he thought he could hold the reins on his more psychotic followers. A year, May 1st. We pushed it 3 months, but we weren't going to stick around much longer. 140 to 300. He's like, we could have stayed for 2 more years at 140 to 300 million dollars a year, or a day rather. A day for 2 more years, 10 more years. We could have just stayed there. We could have got it down to 80 million a day. $80 million a day. A day. If you got it down to less than a third of what we were doing, just to maintain the largest military base in that area, which would be Bagram in their mind, which isn't true, but never mind. I mean...
And to see what happened, and then to come and watch the speeches. I watched a lot of the speeches, and they talk, we went in and we fought the enemy, and it's all true. But they didn't say what happened in the last week. We surrendered. And we can't let that happen, because that's a stain on our country that's worse than any stain we've ever...
See, now he just sounds like some random dude on a street interview, where if it was anybody else, they'd go, listen to this paint huffing lunatic on the street who, this is what happens when you only read headlines and you have the rest of your news spoon-fed to you by Sean Hannity. We did not surrender. There was no battle going on. We got out. We didn't want to be there anymore. Again, this is him playing into the whole graveyard of empires bullshit again. It's not. Everybody gives up on Afghanistan. This is so gross. And our soldiers did not surrender. Our generals did not surrender. A lot of those guys wanted to stay. No, he did not hit them harder when people died in 2018 or 2017. None of that. And the guy he was going, if you hit anybody, we'll get it, was a guy he had just broken out of jail. We left Afghanistan. We didn't surrender. We were done. We weren't going to shore up the government of another country. This is the entirety of this argument is the Afghanistan as the 51st state. We did not surrender. And to say we did, it dishonors those who died in getting people out and getting our staff out. The Afghan government collapsed and the military collapsed. We were not going to be there to hold them up forever. And the idea that we weren't going to be there to hold them up forever. And by the way, we absolutely could have given them aerial support on missions if they hadn't been trading that information for goods in the South with the Taliban already. You think he'll ever forget that this pig man elected president, especially since he won't show up? Yes. No. I mean, he'll come and go. He'll be a blip on America's screen. He'll represent some discontent that people feel like we have to deal with. But by the way, no country gets to skip this part of, I mean, we are, as a democracy, but, we're very young. But as a country, in general, in the world, we're incredibly young. And none of these other countries that are way older than us, and especially European countries, you think they haven't had to deal with their own bullshit? And we, as a democracy, this is the thing we always take on. There is always a chance. That's the beauty and the problem of democracy. And we take that challenge seriously. But I'm just saying, I'm not going to be lectured by monarchies or Germany about who our leader is and what an asshole he's being just because it was during the time when there were the most cameras on Earth.
Had before, it's an embarrassment. Biden didn't even speak today. He went to all three places and he didn't speak. I wonder why. I wonder why he didn't speak. Now think of it. No teleprompter. He went. No teleprompter. He went. No,
he used teleprompters all the time, and he did speak.
Biden did speak. All three places. He went to the Pentagon, went to Pennsylvania. He came here, and he didn't speak.
He can't finish a sentence.
It's so funny because he can't finish a sentence, and yet he kicked your sorry ass. That's gotta be tough. I mean, I think somebody once said, like, if I lost to a guy like that, you'd never see me again, or something along those lines.
What a shame.
I'm pretty sure I didn't know you.
The election was rigged, and that's what we got. That's what we got. Listen, I want to thank everybody.
Then do it. Oh God, he's just resetting now. Anyways, I wanted to bring that up. Let's just let me clarify one more time. Ever since he did that interview with Dan Balls, Trump has been abundantly clear that he never intended to get out of Afghanistan. And so all of his bullshit about Biden did it wrong, or we didn't do it right, or whatever, or I had a better plan. It's what the Chinese would call feng pi, fart air. It's nonsense. It smells substantial, but there isn't. We are out of Afghanistan. New Yorkers do. I mean, that's why he only goes to like 3 places. You don't see him walking around Times Square waving at tourists, do you? Dude's scared shitless to go out in regular public. He gets booed everywhere he goes.